Hi, welcome to Fiberchats. My name is Irina, I'm the host here, and my guest today is Rhianne Evans. And Rhianne is a crochet artist. Hi, Rhianne.
Hello.
Well, but I'm thinking about crocheting. I'm thinking like granny squares, Afghans. That's not the type of crochet that you do. Can you tell me like how you got into crochet and how did it evolve into what it is today?
Okay, so I started crochet about 7 years ago, but I was just making dolls and toys and things like that for my girls. And I stumbled upon some freeform artists on Instagram, and it just sort of developed from there. I thought, oh, that would be amazing to be able to do something like that, to be able to create a face, a portrait with crochet, because painting is always something I wanted to do but never done. And I thought to myself, well, I'm halfway there with this because I can already crochet. So why not try and paint with threads, I guess, you know.
Well, you have the photography background, right? So
I do.
That was your education, that was your business. You did all the wedding photography and family pictures and all that stuff. How much do you think that helped you start with what you're crocheting now?
Now it helps me a lot more because I'm starting to create images that then I can crochet, so they really are bespoke pieces of art that's just from me. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? So at the moment I'm doing a lot of or I have done a lot of like other people's artwork, I guess, like Man Ray. He's one of my favorite photographers, and I've taken his images and I've recreated it in crochet. So eventually I want to use just my photos and create them into crochet, and somehow merge it together. But I think I just love doing portraits, which is why I'm so into doing portraits for crochet as well. So
let's talk about the first creation. Tell me how that went.
Well, that one there actually is the first one that I did. But before I actually finished that one, which took me ages, I was just making lots of eyes. I thought it would be easier, but it really wasn't. So I think I practiced it easily 6 months and got absolutely nowhere. It was so frustrating. And then I thought, right, that's it. I think I was trying to draw and be able to paint it first. And then if I can paint it, then I'll be able to crochet it. And it was just, I was failing miserably. So then I just went to photography, images. And I found a random image of, she's from Stranger Things, the series, Stranger Things. And I thought, right, that's cool. I'll do her. My daughter likes her. She can have her. And I just printed out the picture. And then I just started using that as my template rather than trying to draw first. And then from there, it started to come together. So I think that was the moment it clicked, I guess.
When you first started, like, was it possible to even find resources for how to make eyes, for how to make teeth, like all those things? Like, was it all like reinventing the wheel for you?
Yeah, it was for the first, I'm guessing, but maybe 6 months, I was just sort of going by what I'd seen. I think it was Jo Hamilton. She's one of the first artists that actually uses crochet as her main medium. And it's all portraits and it's just absolutely amazing. And eventually I stumbled across Katika. She's a Russian artist, does crochet portraits. And then I found out that she actually did some like tutorials and like little PDF patterns. They were really quite hard to follow, but it gave me a bit of an insight. But it wasn't even doing that. It wasn't that easy. But yeah, it was like, oh, I wish I just knew how.
Well, I mean, is there like the right way and the wrong way? Are there mistakes in it? Because it's like it's all art, right? So like, how do you treat it in your view? Like,
I know. Well, no, I guess there isn't like a wrong way to do it. I think I know quite a few other artists now that have cropped up around at the same time as me, I guess, and who do this kind of thing. And we all have such different, our work looks different, you know, so there's obviously so many ways that you could do it. I think a lot of them do base it on an image that's printed out maybe as some sort of template, and then you've got ones that totally just freeform it and just do it by eye, and that's so clever.
Well, when you look at that first project of yours, right, and you look at something, let's say the last project that you just finished.
Yeah.
Is there like some system in place now that like you know how to approach the portrait, what to start with, where to go next? Like, is there step by step in your mind now, and does it make it much faster? Or the more you learn, the more involved it becomes and the longer it takes?
Yeah, no, actually, I have gotten faster. The more I've done, the faster I have got. And I can, what I find now is that when I look at a photo, whether it's one of mine or somebody else's, I seem to be able to pick it apart. And so I'll look at an image and I can kind of like separate sections and put it into colors in my mind and go, yeah, I can see the shapes and what I need to do in crochet to make it happen. So it's gotten a lot easier. And it was that was really hard in the beginning. It was trying to like recreate those shapes so that when you step back, you can go, oh yeah, it looks like an eye or a nose. The nose is the hardest, honestly, for me.
Well, when you walk on the street and you just see some interesting face walking by, do you immediately think of it in like terms of crocheting it?
Like maybe posters, that kind of thing. I'm very much inspired by like movie posters and film stills, things like that. So yeah, it's faces, I think, is what that attracts me the most. So I'm really cool photography. So yeah, that if I see stuff like that, I'm like, ooh.
So you moved to France 3 years ago. How did that affect your craft?
It gave me more time, I think. So in the UK, I had the studio for about 10 years, and it was really busy. And I think the change of pace moving to France, it was so different. And I just decided to concentrate on really learning how to do crochet portraits and see where I could take it. So it's given me a lot more time, which I feel quite lucky to have that time. It's like a luxury, isn't it, to do crochet all the time.
What's your yarn stash looks like? Like, how do you decide on what yarn you're gonna buy next and how much of it? That stuff.
I've got. I wish it's actually in the other room. It's a massive. I'll send you a picture if you like. But it's I've tried to organize it, but it's just literally a wall of yarn. And at the moment, it's mostly acrylic yarn. I would like to do my own spinning at some point. Yeah, and see how that goes. That would be quite nice. But it is just like a big wall of just yarn, and I'm trying to get through it before I start buying any more. I'm a bit addicted to buying it.
Well, when you buy yarn, like, do you have specific project in line? Like, are you very disciplined about buying yarn, or when you buy it, it's like, I just need to have it and it's going to inspire me for the future something?
I have got so many colors now that I should be fine for quite a while. But I'm not very particular about the kind of yarn I use. I say that. I suppose I do like DK. I don't actually know what it means, but like DK yarn. But that is is it 2-ply? I think. So yeah. But no, but to be honest, I think that first one has got some quite chunky yarn in it, as well as thinner yarn, kind of like this kind of size, you know. But in terms of brands or anything like that, no, I just sort of, well, here in France in particular, it's really quite hard to find any kind of yarn stores. So I just grab stuff when I see it and you go, I can use that. Oh, that's a good color. I haven't got green, or I haven't got that shade of blue, and I'll just pick it up for the future.
So when you create that portrait, right, like any of your things, like to me, it has the 3D effect because it's like the surface looks like there is like all the shading and everything. Do you feel like, how do you approach that? Like, how, do you see it in 3D? Like, do you try to achieve that 3D look?
Do you know what? I use Illustrator, which is a computer program, to separate some of the colors to sort of get that definition for the cheekbones and the shading under the eyes, the eyebrow, that kind of thing. So I don't know if I do see it in 3D. I just do, I sort of, no, I don't think I do. I just sort of create the shades. That's how I kind of say it when I'm trying to explain it to someone. Just the shapes of the cheekbones and the shading underneath, and somehow it all comes together. I really do think it's a miracle sometimes.
What's the most difficult thing to achieve likeness, or to get like that feel that like this is how it's supposed to look for you?
Yeah, I'm always concerned whether I do capture the likeness, especially if I'm doing. It's not so bad actually when you choose to do like a huge icon like Marilyn Monroe or just a well-known person or picture. I think once you capture that likeness, it kind of fools everyone into thinking that, oh, that's David Bowie or that's Marilyn Monroe. I don't know. So for me, sometimes it's choosing how big to create it. I tend to make them quite small, and I know that by doing that, I'm making it harder for myself. So I try sensibly. I try to get the face about A4 size, and then from there, usually it's okay. But the most difficult part for me is when I make the eyes individually, then I'll make the nose and the lips. And then when I start filling in the gaps, sometimes if I'm stitching it, it might end up pulling the eye down. So it's little things like that that I've learned to get better at and take a bit more care, that kind of thing. So it's individually, sometimes it can look really awesome, and then I'll put it together and I go, oh. And it takes a bit more work then, that's all. Just yeah.
But when you do this, like, does that frustrate you? Like, are you enjoying every step of the way, or is it like, does the joy come only at the end when you're finally satisfied and the whole process is like frustrating?
Yeah, no, I actually, yeah, in the beginning, it was so frustrating. I'm like, oh, please, I'm like almost begging it to work. please look like that. I spent so long on you will work. But now, as soon as I've got the eyes, then I'm like, yeah, it's all about the eyes. And then I can kind of like just sort of make it through. I think, and also it depends how I feel sometimes. If I'm in a bit of a bad mood or just feeling a bit like, then it doesn't always work out right, or doesn't always, it tends to feel a bit, I don't have a good feeling when I'm making it, so it doesn't tend to turn out right. But if I'm feeling quite relaxed and just doing it for the sake of doing it, which is mostly what I do, they tend to come out really good. So I don't know why that is.
Well, on those bad days, right, when things don't go the way you want them to go, do you ever question like, why on earth did I stop my successful business, which I'm good at? I can do it with my eyes closed. I know I can make this money, like I know I can get clients. Why did I get myself into this? Like, do you ever get those doubts?
I get like, I quite often ask myself, why am I doing this? This is crazy. Who's going to buy these things? Who's going to want crazy crochet portraits on the wall? And where am I going with this? You know? So yeah, that's always a little bit, it's just so different to what I used to do. It was really easy to do photography and make money there. But I think with the crochet side of things, I'm not really looking at it as a business just yet. I'm just sort of I'm still kind of in the process of learning where I'm going with it, that kind of thing. So it is different and it is a bit shocking, but I'm just trying not to think too much about it at the minute.
What's the like most enjoyable part of this journey?
The most enjoyable part, I guess, is I've recently gotten into doing art swaps with other artists, and just making things for them. At first I thought, oh, I can get rid of some of my actual work I've got. Have this and give me something, that'll be nice, but then when I first started, the first artist said, well, I'm going to make you something actually, rather than give you something I've already got. And then I was like, oh, well, yeah, that would be nice. And just then looking at their work, looking at what they're into, and then creating something specifically for them and seeing how happy they are. And that for me, that's been the nicest part of it, is when somebody receives it and really chuffed.
Is there like a dream, an ambition of like some faraway desire that like where you're going with this thing?
Well, ideally, I would like to go more towards the dip in more to the art side of things. So in an ideal world, I'd love to be exhibiting in the future and selling through exhibitions and events, that kind of thing. And collaborating with other artists from all over the world, that kind of thing. I mean, I am thinking big, but I'm taking my time to get there, I guess.
Well, when you trying to sell your art pieces now, like with photography, it's easy, sort of, you know what's the competition charges, you know what's the average rate for it, so it's easy to price. How difficult it is for you to price your pieces?
It's really difficult for me to price, definitely. When I'm still not, at the moment, I'm just literally like swapping or giving them away as gifts, that kind of thing. I have donated pieces and suggested prices for them to sell, but it's probably underpriced, I guess, for the amount of time that goes into it and the effort. Yeah, so it is something that because it still feels really new to me, I guess it's still something I've got to hone in on and grasp at some point, quite soon, I guess, because I've got a shop now and it's not open, but it will be. So I better get this sorted.
Tell me more about this shop and your idea for it.
So last year, we came across this, there's a town about 30 minutes from where we live in France. And there was this really beautiful shop right in the main street. And I mean, it's like an old, lovely street. And we just thought, you know what, let's go for it. Because at the moment, it's my husband's company that keeps us in France. And one day when we want to stop doing that side of it's telecommunication. So once that kind of fizzles out, we want something already kind of set up to keep us here. So we thought, well, we'll buy a shop, and it's turned into something that is my project at the minute, but eventually it will be a family run space. And initially I'd like to do like exhibitions. I'd like to invite other artists to take over the space and do what they want. We've got plenty of space for accommodation as well, so people can travel and stay and really get into doing something. So an exhibition space would be lovely, and then also selling the work that I make. And with my family, my husband, and we're quite crafty and quite hands-on. And there's quite a lot of things that we'd like to make to sell, so like into not just limiting it to crochet, like with woodwork and wire and that kind of thing, so like crafty artisanal stuff.
Well, since you brought up your husband, what was his reaction when you went from, you know, making money as a photographer to becoming an artist with dreams that don't necessarily translate immediately into income?
Yeah, but he's really supportive, because it was perfect timing really, because my business supported us as a family for the first sort of 10 years, and I think about 6 years into having my studio, he started his business, and his is still going now. I think his is in the 10th year now as well, and now he's the main. His income is what keeps us all going. So it was like we almost took it in turns, like, you know, he had his opportunity to sort of take a step back and think about what he wanted to do, and then vice versa for me now. So it's never been a problem. He's been really supportive like that.
Are you discussing with him like your work in progress? Like when you go through like making a portrait, is choosing a portrait, choosing what you're gonna make, or complaining about how it's going? Is it like everyday conversation?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I quite sometimes at the moment I'm still like I tend to sort of choose images bit from what I find online, maybe like if it's like famous people, that kind of thing, or artwork from my favorite artists, that kind of, yeah. But I would like to take it more towards my own artwork from the photography side of things. And yeah, I suppose I do moan a bit, like, oh, I don't know what to do, don't know what to do next. Like, he's really, really good though. You puts up with me.
When you think about your life like a few years ago in comparison to now, can you imagine not having this as part of your life? Like, would you be still happy being a photographer and just concentrating on that?
Yeah, I definitely would. I do love photography. And I'm almost kind of shocked that I do this now. It feels really surreal. And I like, yeah. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It is a big change, isn't it? It's a bit bizarre. It's almost like I used to be a photographer, and now I do crochet. What? What blankets? No, portraits.
When you go on Instagram, like what social media means in your life? How much time do you spend there? Like, why are you there? What do you achieve there? Who do you meet there?
Yeah, with Instagram, mostly I loved meeting all the other artists and finding a lovely little community of crochet artists and other fiber artists as well. So I didn't know it existed. I mean, I think I went on Instagram, I started, it must have been 2016, I'm guessing, but that was when I was only just sharing my dolls that I'd made for my daughters, that kind of thing. And then obviously once I stumbled across crochet portrait and freeform crochet in general, it just opened, it was like going down a rabbit warren, so many doors have opened since Instagram, since I started sharing what I'm doing on there, but yeah, it's been good. I've met, and there's I think there's about 6 crochet artists that are the main ones, I guess. And we all talk. I think most of them, apart from Joe Hamilton, are involved in the exhibition that I'm doing this summer. So yeah, it's a really, really supportive community, and it's great.
Tell me more about this exhibition that you're trying to organize.
Yeah. So last Christmas, I thought, right, I want to do some with all the other artists, like not just crochet artists, but that's where it started. And I went to, like, it's called a brocante, but it's like a car boot sale, and I stumbled across these old vintage photographs, which I was like obsessed with. I love old photos. And I thought, oh, it would be lovely if I could think of something that could bring us all together in one room with one theme, And so I approached quite a lot of my favorite artists and was really surprised that they all came back with, yeah, definitely, we'd love to take part. So what we've all done is pick I've sent them all contact sheets of all of the better pictures from the collection, and they've all kind of got back to me which ones they would like, so I've sent them to them high res, and they're going to recreate it in their style. So that's what we're all doing, and then it's sort of gone from there, and I think now there's about 16 of us involved in the exhibition, so it's really exciting. And yeah, I can't believe that, thinking back to when I first started attempting doing crochet freeform portraits, that some of the artists that I were like, oh my goodness, they're so amazing, and they're really famous, I guess, to me. It's like that they're going to be on the wall next to me. It's it's really, I can't quite get my head around it, but yeah, they're all so nice and kind.
Was it difficult for you to pick the portrait that you would work on from that collection, because it was a whole collection and you had your
Yeah,
first
I know it was. And do you know what? I thought, oh, I love that picture, and that picture. And I was thinking, maybe I won't send them to the people, to the artists. And I thought, oh, how horrible of you. You can't do that. So I thought, no, I'll let everyone have first pick. And then I'll sort of go through and see which ones I really liked. But thankfully, the actual picture that I wanted, none of them wanted it anyway. So it's all, and I was quite surprised at the ones that people, well, no, there were some really striking images that I thought they're going to get snapped at straight away. So I let them do that because they had those. But then there was this one guy in my collection that I just thought, I don't know, his face seemed really familiar to me, and I don't know. So he was the one that I'm doing, but I might do another one too, but we'll see how time is this year.
So you posted a lot of progress picture of that work that you're preparing for the exhibition. Is it difficult for you to decide like exactly how you're going to portray him? Because you're not going for just literal repeat of that image, basically, right?
Yeah, I know. So this is the thing. I have I feel for my piece that it started off because I'll show you it. The picture itself, I don't know if it'll come out on there, but let's see. It's really, really small. And I was thinking, how on earth am I gonna do anything with this tiny picture? So at first I was doing quite a literal copy of him, but now as I've gone, oh my goodness, it's me again, I've gone, I hope it works. And I'm like, oh, it worked. It looks like him. And I'm like, oh crap, I should have been a bit more creative with it maybe. So now I'm actually I've got this idea with my piece, which I haven't said to anyone yet. So I got it here. So this is my chap now. So he's quite big actually. Yeah. But there's this. I reached out to and yeah. So to me, it looks quite literal copy of him, but I'm still happy with it. I've added some like little flowery details here, like on that one there, and I might add a bit more. But I've reached out to this other artist that I follow, and she takes vintage photographs, like all postcards, and she'll I can't like this thing, but like say it's like tracing paper, she sort of overlays it, and then she'll fill in the gap. So she might, if it's a nice guy with a portrait, she'll kind of maybe draw a dress on him, and it'll be like with cotton, that kind of thing. It's really, really cool. I bought one of her pieces recently, so I've reached out to her and said, how would you feel if I sent you my crochet chap to see what you can do with it? So and she seems really interested in it, so that might be happening for this piece. But I'm thinking to do another portrait and maybe just take fragments of the face rather than it be a portrait of just some random person, you know. So, but yeah, so hopefully I've got some time to experiment and see what I can come up with.
Well, I saw one of your posts where there was actually partial face and then the rest was just filled with flowers. And
yeah,
you mentioned that it was a mistake that happened to be that you like somehow made into one of the masterpieces.
yeah.
Tell me about how that happened. Like, what was that story?
So it was the classic. I decided to like, I'll just do a quick little portrait, and I thought, the face was literally that big, and I was just teeny little stitches trying to get so much detail, you know, and it was so hard. And then the more it started growing, I don't know why, rather than do the eye and the nose, I did like eye, carried on down the side, did the half of the lips, and I was thinking, what am I doing? So it just didn't. And then by the time I got to the other side of the face, it looked totally different, and I was like, oh, that's rubbish. I thought I was good. So I just discarded it. I didn't chuck it. I just keep it to one side. And then I finished something, a project that I was on at that time. And I thought, oh, I know, maybe I can just do some pretty little flowers and just see what I can come up with. And I was sat in front of the telly one evening with my husband, and we were just watching Netflix. And I just started making flowers to go on the side of the eye, and it just sort of grew from there. I loved it. I did. It was something different, something quite colourful and pretty. So
Almost reminds me like Irish lace, because there's like this feel to it of like these
yeah,
flowers being a little bit separated from each other.
yeah, it's really nice. I like that kind of thing, and I think from doing that, it inspired me to create this piece there for So this is going off to Italy this month actually, because it's for the yarn bombing event. But I thought, oh, I enjoy doing the flowers so much, because I've literally just been doing eyes and faces, which is great, but it was so different. I thought actually I'll do something different for them as well, and it was really fun. So it's nice how things work out, isn't it, like that?
Well, I saw one of your videos where you did a tutorial of how to make teeth for your nan.
Yes.
Are you thinking about like teaching career? Are you thinking about like recording all these tutorials and helping other artists learn this style of crocheting?
Yeah, definitely. It's there are some artists already out there doing really well with their tutorials. Um, so I would like to try it, and I have them. Actually, that Marilyn Monroe up right there, that was going to be my first tutorial, and I sat there and I thought, right, what is the best way I can do this? So, because it's free form, how do you pattern something that's free form? I couldn't get my head around it. So I thought, right, I'll film myself and my hands, and I'll just talk. Every stitch that I do, I'll talk and say what it is, move my hands, and sort of take a screenshot of, oh, no, screenshot, well, like a frame of the progress, I guess. And I did it. It like I did it half the face again, and I realized that it didn't actually record. I was that kind of person that day, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I thought, oh, never mind. I wasn't actually that. I wasn't too mad. I thought, oh, never mind. I'll just carry on, and then it probably won't work out anyway. And then I was thinking, oh, it turns out really nice, and it's only small, and that would have been ideal. Oh, but so I've had quite a few fails. I am actually working on one now, Cyndi Lauper, but I might restart that again. I got like bits of it, and all I'm doing is filming myself and then taking a photo at every point. It's really time consuming. So I'm just trying to, at the moment, I'm just trying to find the best way to translate it into some sort of pattern. And I think it's going to have to be a mixture of images, explanations, and YouTube videos, I think. So it's going to be a lot of work, but I'll get there. So yes, in short, yes.
You like in general hard on yourself? Like, are you very critical of your own work?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's a shame, isn't it, sometimes that you can be so harsh on yourself. I have lightened up a little bit, but no, I'm very critical of my work, and actually not very good at showing people my work, which is ridiculous. I know I'm on Instagram, and I am. I even show work in progress now. So yeah, I am quite critical of it, mostly because it's faces though. You know, you can't go wrong. If it doesn't look like someone, then to me it's like, oh well, fail.
I actually love your work in progress pictures, just because it's sort of like you get to feel like you're part of the process, like you get to get a glimpse into the artist's life and see how
Yeah,
it like changes and evolves.
yeah, I think it's great, isn't it? I think that's been good, and I think a lot of the other artists doing this sort of thing now, they're doing the same, which is and when I first started learning how to do it was just finished artwork, you know, and it's like, how did you do that? So it is yeah, I think it's hopefully inspired a lot more people to give it a go, you know. So
Do you usually work on like one project at the time, or do you have multiple projects going?
I at first, yeah, it was one project at a time, but now I can easily work on quite a few projects at one time. So, but if I get into one particular one, I can finish it within 2 to 3 days now. So I get a bit obsessed to get it done. So, but I like that. I like it when I'm excited and getting into something. So
Well, some of your projects, like that girl with the earring, are sort of like, you know, play off the classics, right? Some of
Yeah.
that like come from horror movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you decide on like how these ideas come to you? Like how do you decide what you're gonna work on next?
Okay. For the horror, I did a horror series. I think I started it July-ish of last year. And then as we were approaching October, I thought, oh, perfect. I have a load of things now for October for Instagram for Halloween. And then I ended up doing an artist takeover for Fiber Art now, I think. I think it's a magazine, and they've got an Instagram page. So I took over I was on Halloween weekend, I took over their Instagram, which is really nice. And so I think it was actually my husband's idea to do the actual the horror. It's like a still, I suppose, from the movies, some of the old classics. And the first one I did was the scream from Psycho. I got it here. So this is the first one I did, and I loved it, and my husband loves it, and it was on the wall just at my house, and it's just like, maybe maybe I should do some pictures of my daughters. Maybe that would be nice. And it went from there, and I think I ended up with 5 pieces that I did, which I was able then to share to my Instagram on Halloween and to Fiber Art now. So I think it was there's this artist that I used to love. I still love her work. Her name's Sherman, and she really inspired me years ago when I used to do theatrical and media makeup. She's a photographer that uses herself as the model and she just dresses up in various disguises, and yeah, her work is amazing. I think a lot of my influence comes from photographers or artists like her, so I think that's where the movie stills kind of felt right at the time. So
is it difficult for you to put yourself out there, like in the pictures, tutorials, like to put your face on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm getting a bit better. I mean, I love having my picture taken, as long as I'm taking it. No, it's not true. No, I don't mind. And I'm getting used to doing filming and talking. I did a live video only once and on Instagram, and I don't know, I just felt really nervous. It's like only now talking to you, I'm starting to relax a little bit. You know, but yeah, I actually don't mind it. I'm enjoying it. So it's something that I think is beneficial, isn't it, to get better at that kind of thing, to promote yourself. And I think it's nice to put a face to the work sometimes, isn't it? You know,
I think it's very important because like people often don't know the artist behind the work.
Yeah,
and it becomes more personable, and you know, like you want to know them, you want to feel like you know what drives them and like what inspirations.
Yeah, definitely.
So like, how far ahead are you planning your work? Like you're working right now for preparing pieces for this exhibition. Is your mind already wondering of like what's next, what's after that?
Yeah, I do. So I feel at the minute that, well, for quite a while, I guess, that I hold back a lot of the things I want to create, that I haven't really allowed myself to experiment and do that yet. So I feel like I'm holding back quite a lot, an awful lot. So I'm hoping that this year I can start creating these images and experiment and see where that goes. So I think it's going to change the look of my space at the minute. Well, yeah, eventually, I think. I tend to quite like a lot of the surreal, maybe almost dark art, really. You know, I'm quite a bubbly person, but I do tend to like sort of gravitate towards the more yeah, I think the horror stuff really summed me up, to be honest. I know it's not my actual work. I know I create, but it's taking it from other people's, you know, stills. But that is something that I like the dark side of things. That sounds really bad.
But when you pose with them, you almost in character, like when you take those pictures. Do you think that those images bring out the inner you, or do you think how seriously do you take yourself in regular life?
Not too seriously at all. I'm really quite I wouldn't say I'm laid back, because I am serious about my work, but yeah, in terms of being, I don't know, acting a certain way, I'm just myself, I guess. But I think no, there is something about getting in front of the camera and almost playing a character. I do that does appeal to me, and I think that is the way it's heading this year, I think. So lots of self-portraits coming up, and not necessarily as me, but maybe versions of me, and just experimenting with fiber photography, and even maybe some watercolor, that kind of thing. So I'm excited, and I just need to let myself go for it. Yeah. So
what do you think is stopping you? What's within you stopping you? Is it lack of time? Is it fear of unknown? What do you think prevents you from going all out now?
I do worry that I wonder what people might think. They might think, good grief, you were doing pictures of Marilyn Monroe and, handsome chaps, from the early 20th century, and what's this? This is scary. Or I don't know, I'm just thinking, what will they think? And it is a conversation that me and my close friend Karen, and me and my husband chat about. She's my friend Karen's like, you should just do it, go for it, because my photography is quite expressive, but and I want that to translate in my crochet as well. So it's just letting myself do it. And I think I've just got to go for it this year. So this year, I'm talking immediately. I've got a few of my projects out the way. And I think there's one more piece that I'm going to create for somebody else for another exhibition. And after that, I need to really focus on myself and what I want to really show people. So, and just see where that leads, isn't it?
Well, when you think about it, does it sound to you like you are the only person who's stopping yourself from achieving everything you possibly can?
Really, I am. I think I'm my own worst enemy. It's not that I worry what people really think of me, but I don't know, it just feels like, it feels so personal, and I've kept it in for such a long time. I'm almost embarrassed to say that I remember sitting in my studio with my business partner and just saying, I really want to get back into it. Was more photography then. And just going back to what I used to do in university with all the photo art, and really, and she'd be like, yeah, go for it. So it's got to be 10 years that I kind of thinking, I got to just go for it. And I'm thinking, I'm 40 this year. Grow up and get on with it.
I hope this interview will push you to allow yourself to be yourself and show the world your real you.
Yeah, I think it's because one of the other things is because I'm so like, hey, happy, yay, all the time, and then it's like, not that it's going to be awful, but it'll be such a change, I feel, that they might be like, whoa, I thought you were happy. No, I really am.
It's interesting. I was interviewing yesterday a quilter, and she does improvisational quilting techniques. And I asked her, I was like, do you think when people see your art, they immediately know that it's your art, your quilt? And if that's so, is that really improvisational, or do you feel like you always have to push yourself outside of the box to keep people on their toes? And she said, yeah, sometimes people say, oh, I saw you quilt and I immediately knew it was yours, and that bothers me. So I feel like the same thing comes here, you have to let yourself surprise everybody and keep everybody on their toes. And
that's true. That is true. Yeah. So hopefully by the time this airs in June, there'll be something else for people to see.
Well, I can't wait to see what else you're going to create. I'm really loving everything you've done already. I think it's wonderful representation of like what you can do with crochet with like just little yarn and hook, you know.
Yeah, I know, it's cool. It surprises me as well. I'm still always amazed at what can be done. So yeah, thank you.
I wish you the best of luck with your exhibit. Thank you so very much for being a guest of my channel today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me. It's really kind of you to ask.